Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Relationship and Marriage, aka RIMA. My name is Enefia Kokonu Duncan, and today we'll be talking about a fun topic. I call it Mirror, Mirror on My Bed. Now, on your wedding day, God gave you a gift. A full-size mirror called your spouse. Now, that gift is a tool to reveal to you your character, your personality, your disposition, your tolerances. It's a full-scale mirror, all right? And it's to reveal to you who you really are. When you were single, you may not have seen who you really are, but when you get married, you will see who you are, and you will see it through the lenses of your spouse. Now, you may not realize this, but you and your spouse have a lot of similarities. You may both love the same kind of movies. You may both love music. Your career paths may align together. And these are the things that brought you together in the first place. These are the things that brought about your connection together. But you are different too. Because if you were similar in everything, then there will be no need. I mean, you can't have two of you. One of you is enough. So you are different in some ways. All right? And those differences is what will lead to conflict. It won't lead to conflict immediately, all right? Because during the honeymoon phase of your relationship, you are blind to a lot of things, all right? But after the honeymoon stage, and then reality sets, they say love is blind, but marriage is the eye opener. And when your eyes open and you see those differences, how you perceive these differences will be colored by your own character and personality and disposition. All right? The profile you have of your spouse is always colored by your own perceptions, your own personality, and your own disposition. Right? So, that is how your spouse mirrors you. Now, Newton's law of motion, I think the third law of motion says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what your spouse does is either in response or reaction to what you are doing. That's the truth. What your spouse does is either in response or reaction to what you are doing. So she's a mirror. In fact, every relationship is a mirror. But the closer the relationship you have, the clearer the image, the clearer the mirror. And there's no relationship that is closer, no human relationship is closer than the relationship in marriage. All right? That is the closest. So your spouse is the clearest image of who you truly are. How she behaves. I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about character. All right? How she behaves is a direct response of your actions or inactions towards her. Now, you have three choices ahead of you. Imagine yourself walking to a physical mirror this time. You're walking to a physical mirror this time. You look in the mirror, and what you see, you don't like what you see. You don't like it at all. What you see, you have three choices ahead of you. Number one, you can break the mirror. Reject the image. Break the mirror. You are lying. You break the mirror. Throw it away. This mirror is a fake mirror. You throw it away. And that's what a lot of people do sometimes. Either they beat up their spouses or they divorce them. That's a kind of way of breaking the mirror. That's the first option. The second option you have is to look at your image in the mirror and say, well, that's the way it is. There's nothing I can do about it. You walk away. You keep suffering in silence. A lot of people are still doing that. You know, they're suffering in silence. All right. The third option you have is you look at the image and say, I need to change this image. But the only way to change the image is to change yourself. That is the truth. The only way to change the image is to change yourself. A lot of us are looking for happiness outside when you have to look for happiness first within yourself. That is the truth. So, how do you use your spouse to better yourself? Because this is actually an advantage, depending on how you look at it. All right? I'm going to give you a way in which you can identify those things that you need to change in your life. Now, each time you're having a conflict with your spouse, you are playing a role. And I'm going to use the drama triangle to identify those roles. And you can easily see yourself in any of these roles. The first role is the hero. The next one is the villain. And the last one is the victim. Anytime you're in conflict with your spouse, you are playing either of these three roles. For instance, if your spouse feels that you have hurt her, she's playing the victim role. She may weep, she may cry, may do a lot of things. She's playing the victim role. And at that point that she's playing the victim role, you are playing the villain role. All right? So you can't play the same role. You can't be victim. No. Victim, villain. Hero, villain. Hero, victim. It's always the opposite. So first thing you need to do is identify which role am I playing in this drama that is taking place between me and my spouse right now. Once you objectively determine the role you are playing, next thing, step out of that role and examine what the whole grouse is about. In examining what the grouse is about, you separate fact from story behind the facts. There are facts on ground. And there's a story behind the fact. The story behind the facts is your perception. It's colored by your perception. It's colored by your personality. Colored by your expectations. All right? And that is what you need to examine. That is what you need to examine. That is what you need to work on. The story behind the facts. Once you are able to isolate them that way, you are on the way to becoming a better person. You're on the way to solving this thing by becoming a better person and working on yourself, working on your perceptions. All right? Once you're able to do that, you are on the right path. Next thing you need to do is to start loving yourself. Loving yourself is by knowing who you are. Loving yourself is by developing yourself. Loving yourself is by loving those around you. All right? You see, you can't give what you don't have. So you first love yourself, and then that love radiates to all and everything around you. There is this thing in psychology called emotional contagion. Emotional contagion. It's a phenomenon where your emotional states, the emotional state of somebody affects those around that person. And it's usually the person with the strongest emotional state that affects the other people around them. For example, right now, maybe you guys you're having a fun time with your friend, the whole atmosphere is lively until someone with bad vibes comes into the place and everything seems to come down. Boom. The person's emotional state, the vibes the person is giving, has affected the total environment. The same thing is opposite with someone that has good vibes about the person. All right? The person has good vibes about that. It reflects around the people that are close within that proximity. Sometimes we are watching a film and maybe someone gives somebody a punch and you react to it. You are not the one being punched, but you are reacting to it, all right, because it's happening within that vicinity, right? It is called emotional contagion. There are some people that are always upbeat. Upbeat. I have a colleague in the office. She's so upbeat about everything. It's never a dull moment with Vanny Bloom. Vanny Bloom, even if she is in a precarious situation, she has the capability to laugh at herself and make everybody laugh and get on with her life. All right? That is someone that loves herself, and she radiates that love all around her. If you're feeling down, a few moments with Vanny Bloom will cheer you up. But that aside, you need to love yourself, and that way you will build a happy home. You will have a happy spouse because that love will overflow to your spouse. Now, having loved yourself, the next thing you need to do is to love your spouse like Christ loved the church. Now, Christ loved the church. It was not based on his emotions. It was a decision. Loving somebody is a decision. It's a decision. You choose to love. And that is the basis of sacrificial love. Christ loved us that he gave his life. Do you think it was easy? It was painful. Loving somebody else, another human being, whether it is your wife, whether it is your child, whether it's anybody else, will require a lot of sacrifices. A lot of sacrifices of your own desires, a lot of sacrifices of your own needs, a lot of sacrifices of your own emotions. It's not about you as of this time. It's about that person. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, from verse 32, let me read it, 32 to 35. The B parts of verse 32 says, "He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord." That is an unmarried man. "But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife." I continue. "Now there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband." You see, these two people are not looking for how to please themselves. They are looking for how to please the next person. And that is how you show love. By sacrificing all your needs, sacrificing all your wants, just to make the other person comfortable. When you look at love through that prism, through that lens, you will know that what you've been practicing is not love, and that this is the real love. This is the kind of love that keeps marriages. In one of my previous messages, when I was talking about the covenant, I said one of the rules of the covenant is that the covenant, you look out for the good of the other person, not for your own good. And that is exactly what is playing out in the marriage circle over here. Once you are able to do that, you'll find out that most of the conflicts you have in marriage will totally disappear. Now, I hope that with what I've shared to you, next time you look at your wife and she's feeling down, check yourself. If she's feeling happy, congratulate yourself. All right? Because she is a mirror, a full-size mirror that God gave you. Now, being soulmates, having someone as a soulmate is not out there. It's what you walk in your marriage. You work for the person to be your soulmate. It takes effort. When you work on yourself and your spouse works on herself, all right, that is when two of you can completely complement each other and become soulmates. Thank you for listening to this short message. I hope you have been blessed tremendously. Please check out the other messages in this Rema series, all about relationships, all about marriage. And I hope you've been blessed too. Please write to me, ask questions, and don't fail to subscribe. Thank you very much. Until next time, my name is Enefia Duncan. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.